This episode is sponsored by Visual Media. Are you an entrepreneur or a small business looking to take your brand to the next level? Then Visual Media is the service for you. Visual Media is a video production company who specializes in creating high-quality visual content for social media, websites, and online courses. Head over to Visual Media on Instagram and drop Resilience in their DM to get started. That's VZUALMEDIA _ to get started. What's up, everyone? This is Resilience in Action with Erin Brown, the #1 podcast for anyone looking to have a greater human experience. What's going on, everyone? Here we are, another episode of Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. And today, our guest is Chadijah Williams. Chadijah, thank you so much for looking at my message for one, and deciding to jump on for a quick chat.
Listen, it's my pleasure. Always happy to have insightful conversations to, add value to the community. And so, first of all, thank you for seeing me valuable enough to reach out to. So I appreciate it. And I'm excited to have this conversation.
Perfect. To go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, Chadijah Williams, I'm an educator, an author, I'm a musician, oddly enough, right? That was my first love, which I'm sure we'll get into in the conversation. And at the foundation of everything that I do is I love talking to people, whether it be educators, students, anybody, about what it looks like to identify and live in your purpose. My purpose is literally what keeps me alive. It makes me happy to wake up in the morning. It keeps me from being self-destructive, right?
Yes.
And so at the foundation of everything that I do is I take my purpose very serious, and I also teach others how to identify it, live it out, and to maintain it, to really understand why God put you on the earth. And that's I live, breathe, eat, sleep that, and so yeah. I don't want to be long-winded, but that's a little bit about me, and everything else about me will flow out of those, titles per se. But my foundation is faith. My foundation is my purpose. And I wouldn't be living in my purpose if I didn't teach others how to do the same. So that's a little bit about me.
I love that. I wouldn't be living in my purpose if I didn't teach others how to do the same. That's a word. That's a word. That's a word.
Hey,
that is a
It was
bar.
fly when you said it. I ain't gonna hold you. It was fly when you said it.
That's a bar. I connect with that like 110%. Feel me? Like it took me a while, to really, really step into who I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up in the world and the space I wanted to take up. But, now that I'm here and I have people watching me, that makes it easier. Some days are easier than others. But really, really living out the purpose, and what was the catalyst that got you to that space?
Ooh, that's a packed question. I ain't gonna be long-winded about it.
No, though. Go ahead. No, go ahead and tell us.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, music was my first love. I have a couple instruments just laying kind of around my office right now, but I recognize that now music was just a gift. It was the vehicle or a tool to ultimately do something else, right? But what really did it for me, I had a life-changing moment when I was in high school, and it was two things going on. I had two options at this moment in my life. I had an option to keep doing what I was doing, being destructive, skipping school, skipping class, being disrespectful to teachers, and just really just being ratchet, like just being outright ratchet, you know what I'm saying? Or I could have done all the things that my band director told me that I could be. I remember one time he was, and I tell this story all the time, so I don't, it don't bother me. But he caught me coming back on campus one time. And I thought I was doing something. I thought I was, I wouldn't get caught, and I thought I was a smooth operator, and he caught me. He was like, "Yo, Chadijah," like, first of all, he threatened me. You know, I thought I was a thug back then, and you wasn't gonna catch me lacking, you know. And he was like, "I'm gonna kick you out of band." And I started crying. I'm like, "Man, come on now. This the only thing I got. Like, you don't understand. Like, this the only thing that really make me come to school. I skip all my classes and make sure I made it to band practice, you know."
Yeah.
And but what I didn't know was that he was watching me. Like, he saw some of my strengths. He saw other gifts that I had that I didn't know that I had, right? And he spoke life into me that day. Like, he straight up told me, like, "Chadijah, you know, you can go to college, right?" But I was having a conversation in myself telling me I couldn't go to college. So for somebody else to tell me that, I'm like, "Oh, snap, I can, huh?" Like, you know, he was like, "All it takes is one phone call and I got you." And I'm like, "Whoa," like, and it was, I can honestly say, like, that was my 360 or my 180. Whichever one don't make you end up where you was is where I was.
180. I got
It
you.
was 180. All right, cool. I turned around. I ain't go back to where I was, you know. And that was my 180. Like, I don't know what happened. I'm be real with you. I went home that night and I started dreaming again. I started dreaming again. Like, I'm talking
Why'd you
about,
stop dreaming?
oh, I had a lot of trauma. Just I went through a lot as a child. Grew up in a home with a drug addict, alcoholic father. You know, a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of suicide attempts, depression. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not minimizing it, but that was my situation. And so I stopped dreaming. I stopped seeing my capabilities. I knew I had a gift. Like, music came easy to me. That's my thing. Still to this day, you know. But it was like it was just something to get by. It wasn't a means to an end, if that makes sense. Up until I had that conversation with my band director that, you know, really allowed me to see what I was capable of doing. And so I went home that night and I was like, "Oh, snap, like, I can do this. Like, I'm gonna break the generational curse in my family. And I don't know how I'm gonna do it just going to college alone. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna do it just getting a band scholarship." But it was like some unlocked in me. I couldn't, like, it was like there was no impossibilities to me. And so if I can make it to college, then surely I can get a job. If I can get a job, then I can take care of my mama. If I can take care of my mama, I could start a legacy and create scholarships. It was like all these different thoughts, right? That I'm now very, very blessed to be able to live out synchromentally, right? But, you know, and whoever's listening to this, I want you to know, like, yo, all it takes is one seed. All it takes is one seed. Like, one seed create a forest. A forest is in one seed, and your destiny can be held in one conversation. Period. And so for me, that was definitely my turning point. I can vaguely remember, like, I was either going to keep doing what I was doing, or I was going to go along and see what the end was going to be according to what my counselor or my band director, my mentor was telling me that I could be. And it's been on and cracking ever since. It's been on and cracking ever since, you know.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had like some self-limiting beliefs and you know that negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is like the killer of dreams, the killer of aspirations. What vehicle did you use to get yourself away from those limiting beliefs?
First of all, you got to recognize it. Because I think when you I tell people all the time, no problem is fixable unless you first recognize there is one. So that's one. Like, you need to acknowledge that you're doing it, because you'll be oppressed and depressed for so long. And then when you're out of that environment, you'll create that environment all over again with your own bad habits. You feel me? So I was outside of the house. I wasn't around my dad, who was oppressing me, who was abusing me, right? And then I became that oppressing voice when he wasn't around, right? It's almost like I begin to repeat all the stuff that he was saying to me to myself. And I say, yo, who needs an enemy when it's the enemy that's stopping me?
Come
like,
on.
Real talk, like, can't nobody stop me. Period. You cannot stop Chadijah from doing nothing, but I can. I can, right? And so one of the first things that I did was I acknowledged it. I acknowledged it. I recognized it. So I had to create something called self-awareness. So there were certain moments where I just allowed my mind to go down like this rabbit hole of doubtful thoughts. And when I decided to stop doing that, I had to literally stop doing that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just something I talked about that I was going to do, but I would, like, to myself, monitor my thoughts. So if I had that one doubtful thought, it will duplicate. So I stop it before it duplicate, you know? So how you stop it is, it's almost like, so I'm a gardener, right? I'm a gardener.
I kill plants.
Oh man, it's all good. You too, right? I'm a gardener.
Got you.
And one thing that I recognize is that when you're trying to plant something new, it's always going to be something there before you got there that's going to be fighting against that new thing that you planted. Ooh, that's a bar. All right. So what I found out was that I was fighting against things that I didn't know was there. And so I come back out after I done planted my seeds. My stuff is starting to grow up. I'm getting hype. But then there's something called weeds that's choking all my stuff out. It's snatching out all the nutrients. It's snatching out all the stuff that's really supposed to be creating the fruit of what I'm growing. And it's magnifying the weed, right? Which isn't edible. It's not, it's unuseful. And so I had to pluck it out. I just got to pluck it out. You literally got to take it out from the root, right? And so I'm a woman of faith, and I recognize that, in the Bible it tells me that I have to cast down every imagination. Like you literally have to like when it comes, you cast it down. Period. Like you tear it down, right, and bring every thought captive to Christ. Period. And I don't want to be offensive with nobody, but that's what that worked for me. You know what I'm saying? I had to really be bold at really subjecting my mind. And catching stuff when it comes. Because I think what a lot of people do is they'll let a seed be planted and they'll let it grow. They keep going down in rabbit holes of thoughts instead of breaking it up at the root. So they letting their whole garden grow over with weeds.
Yeah.
You feel me?
They don't even realize they're watering it. They don't even realize they're watering it.
Right. So you feeding your own destruction. You feel me? And so for me, especially when I got into college, and I got isolated, and now I'm getting all this new stuff poured into me. And I found out that it wasn't the new stuff that was going to help me, that was going to cause me to change for real, is I had to pluck up that old stuff.
Yeah.
And so even now I'm thinking about the weeds I got to pluck out right now in my garden. I'm tight. I ain't gonna hold you, like, because it's hard work. It's hard work. You're gonna go through some pain, you're gonna go through some growing pains, right? But by the time you come back to it the next season, after you've plucked up all those weeds, you plucked up all those bad habits, you plucked up all those self-defeating thoughts, right? By the time you come back to your garden, or you come back to yourself, you're like, man, I'm glad I put in that hard work, because I'm much better, I'm much more fruitful, I'm much more prosperous than I've ever been, right? And so, long answer, but to tell you, I definitely had to I had to stop the thoughts at the root. Period. Yeah. And just fill it in with the word of God, fill it in with prayer, fill it in with healthy habits, healthy eating, and all that other stuff that we know is good for us, but we just don't feel like doing, right? But after a while, hard work become a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not even hard, because only thing that's hard is new things. After it's not new, after it's familiar, it's a lifestyle. It's my habits, it's my discipline. So that don't mean that doubtful thoughts don't come. It just mean they can't stay.
It don't mean they don't come. It just means they can't stay. Like, yes, 100%. We plant the seed, or maybe we didn't plant the seed, right?
Yeah.
Someone planted the seed. We water it. They water it. We water it. We don't realize the damage it's doing to the soil around us, right? Now we have to do like the hard work, and I like to call it heart work.
Yep.
Because you gotta go deep. You gotta get to the root and take that seed out. And then this is where people stumble. They might get to the root, they might take the seed out. But if you don't put something intentional there, guess what's gonna happen?
You know what's so crazy? It'll get to the point where you won't be able to tell your fruit from your weed if you let it overgrow too bad. Like you know, some people like, that's just how I am. No, that's not how you are. That's not how you are. You mixing your personality with your doubt. That ain't what it doubt and faith can't live in the same place. You feel me? And so some people let they doubt, or they their negativity become so part of their soul and their personality that they can't even tell the difference between what was the seed and what's actually originally them. And so you definitely got to do that hard work, like you said, for sure.
Yeah, definitely try to navigate that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. What is easy is just going and doing what you was doing. Going down there and basically not doing nothing. That's the easy part. You know what I
But
mean?
it's really not easy though, because you living in a condition that you're not pleased with. Like
Oh,
that's the other
absolutely.
thing.
Now there is some people out there who are absolutely joyful in their misery. They wild.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
wild. That's
Yeah.
the space that they operate in. And I operated in that space for a long time, really, really long time. Moving from, I'd say full blown pessimist, like the glass is always, there's nothing in that glass. Like the world is the reason that I'm in the position that I'm in. It was everybody's fault. The moment I switched my mindset and I was like, okay, yes, this happened, but my reactions, how I'm choosing to respond to what happened,
Mm-hmm.
that's where that growth happens.
Yeah.
Feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people they're stuck right there because they don't want to do the work because they think it's going to be, they think it's, going to be like rainbows and butterflies and kittens and no,
I really question the dreams of people who are content. Like, because it's like the reason why I knew I couldn't stay the same is because I compared my dreams to my condition. I mean, my condition was 100% bad. Absolutely not. Because I was honestly in a place where I broke some generational curses. I made it to college, dog. Like Chadijah from Charlotte, me, boy, you don't know. I was the most unlikely to succeed out here. So I'd already broke a barrier. Now it's time to break some more. So like I was dreaming, I dreamed big. So the bigger my dreams got, the smaller I had to make my issues. And so when people make their issues big, their dreams are small. But when you switch up the ratio, you gain the strength, you gain the wherewithal to fight against all that. And so I just question the dreams of a person who content. And most of the time, people who are content or settled in whatever misery they in is because their dreams not big.
Or they scared to dream at all.
Yep.
They scared to dream at all. Fear is fear is crippling.
It is.
Fear is
the Bible says fear work is torment. Fear is tormenting. It is. You think one thing and then it turns to another thing. And then it turns to a worse thing. And it's just like, where does it stop? Like, let's let's stop this right where it needs to stop at, And so yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of dreams, what is a dream that you've had that you fulfilled?
Taking care of my mama.
Say more.
Taking care of my mama. This thing right here that used to get me in trouble, they used to get me put on punishment, they used to give me whoop, you know what I'm saying? That I used to get slapped in. You know how black mamas can be, My mama ain't abused me and like that, but
yeah,
I'll slap you in your mouth. You say something else. You know how that go, right? This thing that used to give me in trouble, God has blessed me to be able to retire her. You feel me? I'm 26. 26-year-olds don't retire their mama. And that's not for me to boast or anything like that. But that was a dream
I'm
of
gonna
mine.
stop you. Boast. Talk your talk. Because we can be humble, right? But we can still acknowledge the work, the dedication that it took for you to be able to make that dream a reality.
For sure.
So I want you to step into that. Like you own that.
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest goal that I had, especially coming out of college. I remember there was a picture of that was taken to me and my mom when she dropped me off at school, and I'm her youngest child, right? And in this picture, she was hugging me. She had tears in her eyes. Now, I went to school about 10 hours away from home. So you can imagine the fear that's associated with dropping your baby girl off at an HBCU in the hood. Like, and so she really not tripping off of me going to live my dreams. She tripping off the environment that she think I'm walking into, And I remember in this picture, man, I hugged her and I whispered to her, I got my band camp attire. I got my white shirt in my blue shorts and my white tube sock looking crazy, right? And I hugged her and I whispered to her, I said, Mom, when I'm done with all this, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna take care of you. And every time I wanted to snap on somebody in school, I had to think about that picture I took. I used to keep it as my screensaver because I wanted to be accountable, right? Every time I wanted to quit and cuss out a professor, I had to think about, man, can I do this right here? Like, what if I do that? Will I be able to do what I told my mama I was gonna do? Every time I didn't feel like studying, or every time somebody invited me to a party, every time somebody wanted me to go do some ghetto stuff, I said, man, if I make that decision, will it help me to do what I told my mama I was gonna do? And 9 times out of 9 times, the answer was no, and the choice was easy, right? And so, of course, now that that goal is accomplished, I have to have bigger goals or stronger goals. And so definitely that's definitely my biggest goal that I've accomplished. And I when I go to schools and I talk to students and everything, I ask them what their why is, because your why is going was that you can be motivated, but motivation is a temporary energy source. You know, you gotta have, like, that's a temporary energy source to get you to a short-term goal. You gotta have you a why on the days you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Like you really got to have a different type of engine. A lawnmower engine ain't gonna pull a F-150. It's gonna pull a lawnmower.
Yeah.
It's gonna pull a lawnmower. And so as your dreams get bigger, you got to have a different type of anchor. And so that's definitely one of my biggest goals that I've been able to accomplish. And I really give all glory and honor to God for being able to do that and maintain that. Not just do it once, but like maintain it over this course of time. And so definitely that's my biggest goal I've met so far.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. What are your you say you're the youngest, right? What do your siblings think about you being able to do this?
I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of conversations about it.
Gotcha.
I know that they're very proud of me. But I know they're proud of me. I'm gonna say that. But we've never really had like a in-depth conversation like, hey, I take care of Mom. What you think about it? What we talking about? That's my goal. It's not your goal. I don't really, honestly, don't care what you think about it. Just being real, you know. So it was just I think they're okay with it. We ain't got no jealousy going on. So
of course, yes.
I think we're good.
Are they entrepreneurs as well?
My brother is. No, yeah, both of them are. Okay, my brother is full-time entrepreneur. And I'm the one, I want to say this, I'm the youngest of my mother's children. My father's children, I'm the oldest. So my little sister, she watched me see what I do, and you know, she kind of vet through all of her little business ventures through me, like, hey sis, what about this? Da, 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 da. You know, and so being able to inspire my little siblings and honestly inspire my older siblings is pretty dope. And kind of give them business ideas, showing them how to scale. And so entrepreneurship is kind of the lingering theme with the members in my family. And so being successful in this space also helps me to be successful in my intimate relationships, helping them to come up and to build and to do all those different things, and kind of walking through my daily life of what I do and how I maintain and scale and, you know, things of that nature. So yeah, entrepreneurship is definitely in the family.
Yeah, love it. What's the next goal? What's the next big dream?
All right.
Hey. If you're enjoying this content, do not forget to rate and review. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, be sure to rate and review. It helps us reach more people in more ways. Now, let's get back to some resilience.
The next big dream is to give away scholarships this year. Well, not 2022, but when I say this year, I'm an educator, so I'm always thinking fiscal brain. Like, so I'm thinking 22, 23, right? So within the next, like probably halfway through 2023, I want to give away scholarships for students to go to college for band. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And I want to help retain about 100,000 teachers in the classroom. I've not said that out loud really, but yeah.
So saying it out loud, right? That
just made my heart beat fast. Hold on. Write it down.
Write that down. That is, like, we can think it, right? We can think it, but saying it, something about verbalizing it. Once those words cross your lips into the threshold of the universe, like it's out there.
Yeah.
And I got it on film, so
I can't run from it now.
You can't run from it now.
Man, that's my calling. I got a burden for it. Like anything that you call to, you got to have a burden for. And I'm telling you, like, you know, my burden is to get teachers back on the post of their calling, and just have them to be what God wants them to be. Because, you know, especially through the pandemic, I taught through the pandemic as a full-time band director, and it was the toughest time in the world. I was like, yo, like this is different, right? And I was among the millions of teachers that walked out of the classroom, honestly. But I didn't walk out to stay gone. I walked out, carried all my burdens with me, packaged it into a program, and I'm about to put it in as many school districts as I possibly can to help retain teachers, period. Because I recognize that, like, a teacher saved my life.
Yeah. So you're pouring into the teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, teachers and students. Yes, students. Yeah. Yes.
But if I want to get to them students, I gotta get to the teachers.
You have. I
gotta get to the gatekeepers. Period. I gotta get to the gatekeepers.
I love that. I love that vision. That because educators don't get enough credit. Period. No. They don't get enough credit. And it blows my mind. They don't get paid enough. Educators have to deal with a lot, especially post-pandemic. I know how I was when I was in school. So I graduated in 2006. I know I was wild, right? I know my 11th grade year was buck wild. I didn't give nothing about nobody, and I can only imagine what classrooms have been like post-pandemic, post-COVID. And
it's just, and I hate to cut you off, by the way.
No, you're good.
But we're dealing with, what we're about to deal with is two things that I can immediately just say is about to be crazy. One, we're dealing with students who are 2 years psychologically behind.
Yes.
That speaks by it. So, because people were just being passed on. So we're dealing with unequipped students, right? And because a lot of teachers left, now we're about to deal with unequipped teachers. Because they're going to be rushing them through these programs, rushing them in, trying to fill these vacancies. And then we're going to have a bunch of schools full of unequipped teachers with unequipped students, right? And so that's why I come into play. And I could not fight that battle inside the classroom. So unlike a lot of teachers who kind of just left and went to another high-paying field, I said, you know what? No. I'm going to create a company that creates services to equip these teachers to deal with these unequipped students. And that's what we got going on in 23. It's about to go crazy.
I love it.
It's about to go crazy. Yeah.
I love
it. So those are my goals.
You starting in what's that? What's it? Charlotte Mecklenburg? You starting out there?
No. So I actually live in Mississippi.
You in Mississippi? Okay. Yes. Okay.
So I actually came down here for undergrad, and I loved it. And people like, Jackson, Mississippi? Yes, Jackson, Mississippi. Like, so what, right? We just had like the water crisis and everything, and and like it was as bad as like Flint, Michigan. Like it was bad, but prayerfully, because of where we stay, where I live in the city, we really wasn't affected like that. And so, but I knew a lot of people who was, so I was kind of still affected. But I'm actually not even starting in Mississippi. I can't. It ain't inked the paper yet, so I can't say where I'm starting.
Okay, all right,
but just know we starting. Just know we starting, and I'm definitely gonna be announcing it as soon as New Year come in. So
that's exciting.
We got our boots on the ground. We getting active for sure.
That's exciting. What does your team look like? What does your team consist of?
Minority professionals. Like women, Black women, Caucasian women, Black men, minority professionals. People who are literally the minority of the classroom. We partnering together, putting our expertise and our minds together, and making it happen. And I don't put nobody around me who's strong at what I do. That's silly.
Yeah.
Well, would I put if I'm good at it, I don't need you. And so I have a lot of people around. What's crazy? My old principal works for me now.
That's wild. That's so wild. Like how the tables, like, not really the tables turn, but how life goes.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep. So that's a blessing all within itself. But she has an expertise that I don't have. So we're gonna be talking to school leaders. Okay, yeah, you go holler at the school leaders. I haven't been a school leader. So you see what I'm saying? I haven't been a school leader. So I can't go talk to school leaders. I can't work with them. I can't speak to their situation. You have. So, that just makes sense. You got to have people around you who don't do what you do. And so the team is highly skilled minority professionals. And we just about to operate in excellence and to add as much value to the education system as we can.
I love it. I love it. The passion and excitement that you are displaying. I don't even know if you realize the inflection of your tone and and the way you sat up in your chair and you're like, yeah, like you.
I was chilling. I was like this.
You was like, in the beginning, and then we started talking about the meat and potatoes, and you was like, yeah, I'm all in. Like I don't even know if you picked up on that. I
didn't. I promise you, it wasn't even intentional. I was just, I just got into it.
That's what happens when we step fully into our passion and our purpose. We can't help but to display our excitement, our, for whatever it is that we're talking about. Shout outs to you for seeing the gap, and instead of walking away, you saw the gap and you're going to fill the gap with systems and strategies that will help not only the teachers but the students that they are teaching. So yeah, like that's great work. Fantastic.
I was a part of the problem a little bit. Like I left. But I was like, I'm not gonna leave and not come back.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna come back with something that's going to be a part of the solution.
What was leaving like?
Say that one more time.
What was leaving like? How did that set up? Yeah.
It was scary. Because I actually I'm a speaker. And so I actually was doing speaking while I was a teacher in the pandemic. So on my was crazy. I was actually able to make my job salary in a fraction of the time. Woo. Like with part-time work. Yeah. So I would be on my planning period doing a speaking engagement on a computer. Seriously. And so I'd make a couple $1,000s within like 45 minutes on my planning period. And so don't if you're a teacher and you watched it, don't tell me what you can't do, boo. Because I was grinding. I was grinding because I recognized like there's no way. One, teaching doesn't just really just take care of you for real. Like it was bad. Like where I worked at, and I'm not gonna disclose where I worked at. I made more money in college than what I made at this place, but I still was called to be there.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm called to be here, and I'm making less money, so I had to just use my gift, and that's really why I started. And so leaving was a little bit scary because it meant what looked like stability was no longer going to be available. What looked like predictability was no longer going to be available. But I said to myself, Nadij, this is how I talk to myself. I said, Nadij, if you did this in part-time, imagine how you gonna run that thing up when you full-time. And so I had to trust my consistency. And so for those of you who really be unsure, full of anxiety, you don't trust your consistency, or you just not consistent enough. I was consistent. I'm consistency queen. I'm consistent, right? And I say that unboastfully, but that's my strength. Like I'm routinistic. I'm consistent. And so I trusted my consistency enough to speak for my track record and say, all right, cool. You did this in 2 years with part-time, So imagine when you go full-time, you're gonna be all right. Like you're gonna be straight. And so it was really scary. Not having like that predictable income or that foundation or whatever, health insurance, adult type stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Not having all of that was a little scary, but after I got my bearings, I was all right. I've been pretty good.
Yeah. That's
So
exciting.
that was the hardest part for me, because I was ready to go. I was honestly ready to go. It was tough. I was tired all the time, working long hours, overworked, underpaid. You know how that
I was
goes.
like, and unappreciated probably.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And so I love on my teachers. Whenever I go to bed, I love on them so hard. I know they probably be like, "All right, teacher, that's enough." Like I fill up their cup. I fill up their cup because I recognize my cup was drying out.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, I be exactly what I needed when I was in the classroom, when I go to different schools and work with different programs and stuff like that. So answer your question, the stability was the hardest part, but I got my bearings now. I'm good.
Hey. Did you know I wrote a book? It's called The Value Method, 5 Steps to Unlocking Your Greatest Potential. And in it, I share just that. 5 wildly easy, actionable steps that will set you up to have a greater human experience daily. I've included interactive worksheets and small assignments at the end of each chapter. You're literally creating a living blueprint of your best life. Be sure to check out the show notes for the link to purchase your copy and a copy for a friend.
Good. That's exciting. That's exciting. That's hope for the future. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Anybody who's listening to this, who has that 9 to 5 and they want to, whatever that side gig is, whatever it is, it could be speaking, coaching, you could be a web designer on the side, whatever that is. Knowing that if you stay consistent, you got to build those systems of consistency, build that routine, that discipline, in order to show up fully and live the life that you deserve to live.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. Okay. What piece of advice would you give someone who is teaching and they are struggling? They are like at their wit's end with everything that comes with.
I asked them, are you called to do this? Teaching is a calling. It's not something you get a degree in. It's not something you go to school for. It's not something that you just get on a certificate and go do. It's a burden in your heart, period. Like, teaching is a calling. It is, right? And so when you know you called, that means you automatically set yourself up for commitment. And so if you know you called, you will be committed. Like, you cannot get around it, right? And so you're struggling, that's inevitable. No matter what field you're going to go into, there's going to be some type of struggle, one struggle or another, right? You just have to make sure that in yourself that you're called. Because if you're not called, turn in your resignation letter right now and go find a place where you're called, right? Because there's lives in the balance of your influence. And if you're not called to do what you're doing, then that blood gonna be on your hands, being real with you. There's so many people who just have jobs that they're not called to do, and they wonder why they're not operating in excellence. You feel me? You wonder why you're not getting change. You wonder why you're not getting momentum. You wonder why you're not experiencing prosperity. Why you're not called to be there, period. There's a scripture that I live by, and it's an indicator of where I'm called, right? So if you're listening to this, I want you to know. It's Proverbs 10:22. It says, it said, the blessings of the Lord make rich, and he don't add no sorrow, right? So wherever you have sorrow consistently and continuing in your life, it's not a blessing from God. Like, it's 2 + 2 ain't gonna never stop equaling 4. Right? And so wherever you are, if you're consistently experiencing sorrow, if you're consistently experiencing a lack of abundance, a lack of prosperity, a lack of happiness, a lack of joy, a lack of, you feel what I'm saying? Because there's some teachers who go home and they're like, man, you know what? That was tough, but I'm ready to go back to the classroom and figure out how I could be a solution. I'm ready to go back and see how I can reach that student who never raises their hand. I'm ready to go back and see how I can raise up these test scores. I'm ready to go back and add value to my principal, add value to my community through my service to their school, even if they have a bad day. Why? Because they got a calling, right? Which keeps them committed.
Yes.
So if you just here for a job and it's just, I'm just doing this so I don't get fined, go turn in your resignation now, because you have lives that's dependent upon you being where you need to be, right? And so the blessings of the Lord make rich, and he'll add no sorrow to it. So if you are blessed, if you're in the blessing of the Lord, you're going to experience riches. You're going to experience joy. You're going to experience prosperity. You're going to experience the new ideas and creativity to be a solution in your building. You're going to experience the intelligence and the ability to add value no matter where you go in the education system, or whatever you are. Whatever you're doing, right? And so if you know that you cannot be a solution to where you are and you're not experiencing these riches that I'm talking about, go find out what your calling is, period. And so you may be tired, you may be stressed, you may even be burnt out, right? But if you know you called, stay committed.
Period. If you know you're called, stay committed.
Yeah, because the reward is going to be much greater than the hardship. It is. Always. The reward is always greater.
Always.
And so this toughness and this struggle is only but for a season, but the glory that's going to be revealed in you later on down the line, you can't even imagine what that's going to be like, but you got to be committed to see that through. So take it from me. Be committed if you call.
I love it. Wow.
For sure.
You said like 11 bars in there. You spent like 11 bars in there, and the one that sticks out the most is if you're called, and stay committed, you'll be committed. Like, because the hard times, the burdens, the struggles, all of that won't stop you from achieving what it is that you're called to achieve.
Sure.
Come on now.
Sure.
Come on now.
Sure, because whatever the struggles of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory that and the prosperity and all the joy that you're going to experience in the end. But you got to get through this growing pain, because that's all it really is. You only experience struggle when you're experiencing growth. So don't see it as a struggle. Don't see it as being tired. See it as, okay, what am I growing from? What am I learning from this particular hardship in time? Because I recognize when I was burned out as a teacher, it was because I couldn't reach my kids. So that means I was still called. I had a burden for what I was doing. It wasn't like I was frustrated because I hated it. I was frustrated because I wasn't being a solution in my calling. So if you're listening to this, it's not like this is for you to do some self-reflection. Are you struggling because you just simply hate it? Or are you struggling because you're not being an effective solution? And if it's the latter thing that I said, you're still called, and all you have to do is stay committed to get to the prosperity and the riches that I've talked about. That's it. That's it.
It just, you said that so beautifully. Like,
I did. Thank you.
Yeah, no. The way you just presented that, it was in a way that will resonate with whoever listens to this, and they find themselves, whether they're a teacher, whatever it is, and they're in that moment of struggle, that moment of difficulty, that moment of what am I to do? You know, the simple thing is are you struggling because you hate it, right? Or are you struggling because there's an area that you can't reach? There's something in there that you're trying. That's what I want everyone to understand, is that you're still trying. You're trying to reach it. So, like you say, you're still called.
Right.
And stay committed, because the answers will come. They will get there. You just got to stay committed and stay consistent.
For sure.
Woo.
For sure. Take it from me. And that's all you got. If you call, stay committed. That's that can be the name of this episode.
Listen, if you call, stay committed. I love it. I love it. Where can we find you on social media, on the internet, wherever you are?
So you can follow me on Instagram at I am Chadijah Williams. You see the name right here. Don't butcher it up. You can take a visit to my website at EBSpeaks.com. That is DIJAHSPEAKS.com. You can find me on Facebook at Chadijah Williams. You can find me on YouTube, DJ Speaks. We're going to be making some big moves this year. So listen, if you're an educator, If you're a superintendent, principal, you want to stay in touch with what we're doing, because we're coming for 100,000 educators to keep them in the classroom, and get them equipped so that they can equip these students to really walk in their purpose. And so you can keep up with me on those platforms. Oh, find me on TikTok. TikTok is the thing. TikTok. I am Chadijah Williams. I'll be on there, making my inspirational content. And so thank you so much, Erin, for having me on. This has truly been a blessing. This has been, honestly, this can fill my cup a little bit.
I'm glad.
Because if I can talk about things and make myself feel negative, then surely when I talk about things, I can make myself feel positive.
Absolutely.
And this has certainly been, this certainly filled my cup.
I'm glad.
I just appreciate you for finding me valuable enough to be on your show. I appreciate it, for real.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Before I let you go, I got one final question for you. You ready?
Got you.
Khadijah, what does resilience mean to you?
Whew. I actually wrote a book on that. But I'm gonna keep it sweet. Resilience means, to me, is just the ability to bounce back. Yep. The ability to bounce back. And that means not just falling to your lowest point to get back up. It means that creating preventative measures so that you can stay up.
Yes.
So that you can stay in your right mind. So that you can stay in your calling, stay in your purpose, stay in the will of God for your life. You feel what I'm saying? And you gotta set up some parameters, some boundaries, and some benchmarks to keep yourself right in your mind, And so resiliency, to me, is simply being able to maintain your position to actually get to your expected end, and not getting to your lowest to get back up, but being able to stay up in every capacity that you can. So
love it.
For sure.
It's literally resilience in action. The do, it's a thing that you do, and it's a thing that you become, but the do is where the power is. Sure. Absolutely. Khadijah, thank you so much for spending some time with us, getting to know you a little more, and you sharing your wisdom and insights with us. Really do appreciate it.
The pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to rate and review. And remember, resilience in action will always lead to a greater human experience.